And let's go. Hello, my name is Bryce Tubbs. With me today is Joe Patino, and he is breaking the chains holding you back from the life that you deserve. And he's the owner at Developing Positive Skills for Life. I cannot wait to have this conversation today. Thank you so much for coming to the show today, Joe.
Bryce, I appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Excellent. And before we go any further, for those watching, if you're watching this from any location that is outside of our free community, I just want to personally invite you inside. It's taken a tremendous amount of time and effort to develop such a positive group of people. If that's you, click on the link either above or below and join us inside right now. Now, Joe, what was life like before you got into coaching? What was the catalyst that brought you into the space?
Wow, great question. I was in a career where I was 24 years as a commercial insurance agent. So I spent all my time traveling across the state of Ohio, talking to professionals about their insurance. I started in 2017 to be focused on self-improvement. And really the catalyst to make the change I'm doing now was joining Toastmasters International. Bryce, are you familiar with Toastmasters?
I am familiar, yes.
Okay, Toastmasters is a great organization. And really, I did it for self-improvement. But what ultimately happened was that a switch went off with me. And I said, this is what I want to do. I want to speak for a living. I want to help other people. And I want to coach and mentor other people. And by going through that process, I really realized that I was burned out on my current insurance career. I was probably burned out a couple of years before I actually realized it, but Toastmasters was a catalyst. And then I met some friends through Toastmasters that introduced me to the International Coach Federation. So I have been doing my coursework to get ICF certified. I met a couple of individuals that really developed the cornerstone program to what I'm doing now, which is 3 vital questions and the empowerment dynamic. I'm a certified trainer for them. And that has really changed my life. I've applied that into my personal life, not only from a career standpoint, but from a personal standpoint with how I dealt with being diagnosed with a chronic illness about 11 years ago.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Can you talk about maybe some of the carryover between insurance prospecting and, coaching, like how to get new coaching clients? I think there's some tremendous crossover there.
There is a tremendous crossover there. And it's kind of interesting because I did a presentation this morning for a proposal for a client. It's very similar. It's very similar. The nuts and bolts to it are that you've got to have enough people in your pipeline, enough prospects in your pipeline. And once you figure out your closing ratio and you have some history to it, you can say, okay, I talked to 20 people this month. I actually closed business on 10 of them. So I'm running at a 50% closing ratio. So if I want to keep hitting that, I need to talk to at least 20 more people next month. Or if I want to increase it. So you put numbers, you can get numbers to it. But the main thing is just like whether it's insurance or whether we're selling our personal professional services that we're doing now, that I'm doing now, is having enough people in the pipeline. And how are you going to do that? That's really the gist of it, is knowing those numbers and then finding out how you're going to do it and have a plan.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this question. So can you also talk about follow-up? So a lot of, inside of our community, we have a mix of life coaches, health coaches, and what was the other one? And accountants.
Mm-hmm.
And, oftentimes they'll say the price on the phone and then they'll never hear from the person again. Maybe can you talk about how to follow up with someone after they've heard your price and they've written off in their mind, maybe?
Sure, absolutely. The system that I've developed is that I will always let them know if I send a proposal out following up a phone call, I will always let them know that, hey, I am going to follow up with you. You call me with any questions, but I'm going to follow up with you in 5 days or 7 days if I don't hear from you. That way it stays top of mind for them. And if I don't hear from them by then, I'll reach out to them on the phone. And I'll hopefully talk to them in person. If not, I'll leave them a very specific voicemail about the reason why I'm calling. If I don't hear from them after that, typically what I will do, and this is a little tip for those who may not employ this, but I'll do a closing the file email. If they haven't responded to me, I will send a subject line email that just says proposal for ABC individual / closing my file. And then in the body of the letter, I'll say, in the email, I'll say, dear so-and-so, we talked a couple of weeks ago. I sent you some information. I've tried to follow up. I haven't heard from you. I'm going to assume that you're not interested at this time, and I'm going to close my file. And a lot of times what that'll do is that'll trigger somebody to say, oh, no, I do want to do that. I just got tied up with other stuff, or I just was too lazy to respond. So when I'm closing my file, all of a sudden that will sometimes prompt them to action.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So is most of your time spent on, developing new people inside the pipeline or nurturing the ones you already have? Like which one, if you could only have one, which one would you focus most on?
Wow, that's interesting. And it's right now for me, because of the career I came from,
Uh,
I spend most of my time right now leveraging my old contacts, my old clients, my old prospects from my other life, and explaining to them what I do now and seeing if they can make introductions to me on those ideal prospects that I'm looking for. That's where I spend most of my time.
okay. But when you're developing the pipeline, at first, like for someone who's new today,
Yep.
what they should just use their leverage, existing relationships, or try and make new ones.
Well, the existing relationships and the new relationships go hand in hand, I think.
Oh,
In the very beginning, you're going to do with what you know and go with what you know, and that's try to leverage everything that you've already got relationships with. People that are going to take your phone call,
ah,
and then you balance that out with new people. And one thing that can help is look for opportunities to talk.
hmm,
Look for opportunities, whether it's with the local chamber of commerce, maybe it's with a local support group, maybe it's with a local emergency assistance agency, anything, anywhere that you would have an opportunity to utilize your Zoom now,
mhm,
and get an opportunity to have essentially 20 meetings in 1 hour with 20 different people.
yeah,
Eventbrite is also great for that too, because Eventbrite, if you're familiar with that website, if you're offering a program that is free, then it's free to use Eventbrite. So you can use Eventbrite and start posting. And I've got 2 or 3 different webinars that I can do for an hour that I post on Eventbrite. That is kind of like a feeder. It's free information. You'll definitely walk away with some good takeaways, but then hopefully entice you to come back for more.
that's great. You know, Let me kind of ask you this question. So nowadays, what problem are people generally struggling with when they come to work with you on the coaching side?
On the coaching side, people really are stuck,
Hmm.
and they're frustrated and are tired of being stuck. They're in a never-ending cycle of um, life coming at them, and not looking at the long term, but always reacting to the short term, and saying, "Here's where I want to be, way over here, but I can't because this problem came up and I can't pay this bill and I've got money issues, or I've got maybe it's addiction problems." Uh, and so that's really a big problem, is trying to get people unstuck. In addition to what I do on a personal side, because I've done a lot of work with nonprofits, that's another one area that I focus on, is nonprofit organizations and religious organizations to do staff development, staff improvement, relational issues, executive coaching. So I'll do that as well as individuals.
Nice. I think you touched on it earlier. You do some cool webinars. Do you maybe have anything new that you like to share with us, or for the people watching?
Yeah, I'm going to be launching one over the next 30 days on leadership. And what I did was I went in back in time to the very first job I had coming out of college, where I was a store manager for a local home goods store, and all the mistakes I made. Oh, they were horrible. I will tell you, I was a terrible leader when I first got out of school. The paper said, yes, I've got my degree, but I was kind of delusional. So I tie that in with where I am now, and those qualities of what make a good leader, and some of those characteristics that all of us need to have if we want to be successful in life.
Yeah. And where can they go to learn more about that or more about you?
Absolutely. You can reach me if you go out to my website. It's dpsforlife.com. So DPS is Developing Positive Skills for Life. .com. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's just linkedin.com/Joe Pannitto, or just look for me, or the company. I've got a company page on LinkedIn. I also have a Facebook page on LinkedIn, DPS for Life. So it's easy to find. I'm also on Facebook as well. So those are a number of ways to reach out to me. My email address is dpsforlife@windstream, WINDSTREAM.net. So there's a bunch of different ways to get in contact with me, and I would love to chat with anybody who's got questions or to share information.
Excellent. And just kind of a bonus question, just thinking about kind of the time that we're in where, there's a lot more time to think. I don't know if you've gotten more clarity from it, but maybe what's the vision look like for you for as far down the road as you like to think or talk about?
Absolutely. And that's a great question, Bryce. And it's so important because this gives us time to kind of be with ourselves. And the thing I would suggest for everybody is, stop listening to the news 24/7, number one. Number two, what I find so beneficial is to go into a quiet place. I've got an office where I can close my door. It's in my basement of my home. I close my door, I turn off the lights, and I'm just by myself. And I'm silent. Maybe I'll put on some meditation music, but I'm just with my thoughts. And that's really where I find clarity and can kind of reset. Where do I want to be? Success for me is making a difference for other people and improving their lives. And by doing that, I'm doing what I enjoy. Right now, I spent a lot of years in my other career making a living. Now I'm making a life. And there's a distinction with that. I'm doing what I enjoy. I'm passionate about it. And I can see the difference with others. And I get tremendous satisfaction out of the difference that I make for other people.
That's a great point. And for those watching, if you're searching for a place where people are improving themselves and helping others do the same, I recommend you go check out our free community. People just like Joe, who they're making a living before, now they're making a life. If you maybe have some dreams or aspirations and you need to get around people who actually want to see you succeed and actually want to support you, come and join the community by clicking the link either above or below. Love to have you in there. And, this is an interesting question. So kind of transitioning to what we were talking about a second ago, over time, our definitions kind of change, especially the word success. So what does the word success mean to you at this moment in, time?
Wow. At this moment in time, success for me is the level of happiness that I feel with my family and with what I'm doing to help others. It's more it's not as much being able to provide the material things. When the kids were younger, making sure that we got to Disney World and did those material things and had a nice house and a nice neighborhood to grow up in. Now it's more, how can I give back? How can I help others who are stuck and not being able and struggling to really, my tagline is breaking the chains. And it's a perfect one, I think, when I think about it in my mind, because I'm trying to break the chains, break everybody free from what's holding them back. We get held back from negative thoughts and negative narratives in our head all the time. And so success for me is making a difference.
Nice. I really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for coming on the show and just sharing a little bit more about yourself with us.
Bryce, I really appreciate the opportunity, and I was a little hesitant to come on, saying that you're in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I'm in Ohio, and my daughter graduated from that school in Columbus. But this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate what you do and what your group does, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my story.
Excellent. You're welcome. And I'm surprised they even have the blue and yellow. I know they're the Jets, the National Jets, but I didn't know the school down there likes those colors.
I know. It's kind of funny. But yeah, I'm actually a little disappointed because this was the year that the Blue Angels were going to be in Cleveland for the National Air Show, and it
Wow.
got canceled this year, obviously with COVID and whatnot. But it'll be back.
Yeah.
They'll be back. But yes, they do have the Michigan colors, so that's awesome. I could deal with the Michigan colors, but don't give me any Jets that look like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. Excellent. And for those watching, we thoroughly hope that you enjoyed this episode. Now, once again, join our community. And if you haven't already, please feel free to hit the share button so other people can get some great value as well. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. We'll see you next episode. Done recording in 3 and 2 and 1. And